Hi there, Vladimir here, with another video about how to speak a foreign language. Here is the secret to speaking a foreign language fluently. The secret to speaking is listening. To be able to speak a foreign language well, first you need to be able to hear well. In other words, if you are able to understand everything you hear, you will be able to speak well. You will be able to carry on a pleasant conversation. Your ability to have a back and forth conversation depends on your ability to understand everything you hear. Everything being the operative word. The better your listening comprehension, the smoother the conversation. Let me prove it to you. I've prepared a few case studies, if you will. Exhibit number 1.
Who eats the least food in your family?
Sorry?
Who eats the least food? Who eats the least food in your family?
The least?
Yes, least. Small amount of food.
Okay, so I wasn't able to hear the question. A bit of a backstory. This video is from a language lesson I took. A lesson using this thing called the callan method. The person paying for this nonsense is supposed to give answers to a series of questions.
What time do you go to bed at night? What time do you go to bed at night?
Full answers.
PM? I go to bed.
I go to bed
At 9. I go to bed.
I go to bed
At
at
11
11 p.m.
At night.
at night.
Complete nonsense indeed, but it was the inspiration for this video. It was the inspiration for this video because it proved without a shadow of a doubt that if you understand everything you hear, you will be able to carry on a conversation. And back to my video.
Who eats the least food in your family?
Sorry?
Who eats the least food?
As you can see, I
Who
couldn't
eats
understand the
least
question
food
at
in your
first.
family?
The least
Yes, least. Small amount of food in your family.
food.
Food.
The least food in my family. Who eats? Who eats the least food in my family? But you see what I did? Good question. I confirmed and clarified. Basically, I made sure I understood the question before answering it. There is no shame in not understanding what you hear, so long as you confirm and clarify. As is the case with these two. Would a native speaker of English pay money to have a casual conversation with you? Or any type of conversation for that matter?
Would a native speaker pay to have a conversation with me? Probably not.
Would a native speaker of your language pay money to have a casual conversation with you? In English, of course.
Would a native speaker of English pay to have a conversation with me in English? No.
Confirm and then answer. Exhibit number 4. My question is, have you ever paid to chat with people?
Am I paid to chat with people?
That's not what I asked. There is a huge difference between have you paid to chat and are you paid to chat. It's the exact opposite. And again, there is no shame in not being able to understand, as long as you confirm and clarify. And we move on and continue our conversation. My question is, have you ever paid to chat with people?
Am I paid to chat with people?
Have you paid to chat with people?
No.
No.
Well, maybe therapy.
Maybe therapy. As long as you are able to understand everything you hear, you will be able to have a pleasant conversation. Next case in point.
How about you? How long have you been living in Australia?
I have been Australia, I want to say 4 years.
Okay, so
As you can see and hear, she was able to understand the gist of the question. but not everything. And so when I say everything, I mean everything. Vocabulary, grammar, and of course, meaning. She could have just said,
4 years.
and it would have been perfectly fine. But going back to the inspiration for this video, the ridiculous callan method.
How long do you sleep at night? How long do you sleep at night?
7 hours.
I sleep.
I'm sleep.
Not I sleep. I sleep.
I sleep
About
7 hours
at night.
at night.
There is a difference between understanding the gist of a question and understanding everything, including the grammar structure. How long have you been living in Australia? And it's super easy to give a full answer. You become I, and the rest is about rearranging the words you hear. I have been living in Australia, plus answer. Giving full answers is very unnatural, but proves the point. So once again, the more you understand what you hear, the easier to communicate. Next example. If a person is good at writing, do you think that that same person will be good at speaking?
Definitely not. Because when you're a child, when you're like before going to elementary school, you actually could speak your mother language fluently. Doesn't mean you could spell it perfectly. Like all children cannot spell it perfectly, but they can speak, right?
No, I'm talking about second language. For a second language, for a foreign language, if a person is good at writing, what are the chances of that person being good at speaking? What do you think?
As second language, also the same, because for example, I cannot read Greek very much, but I can speak.
No. Right. I'm talking about good at writing, not reading. Sorry. If a person is
writing also the same. Writing also the same. It's because if I try to type very slow, but my speaking is much faster.
So no, my question is, if a person is good at writing, what are the odds of that person being good at speaking? What do you think? Are they related or not related? Is it possible for a person to be good at writing but bad at speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally not related. Because it's if you really go United States, a lot of people even cannot spell it. Horrible spelling.
You see, I asked her the same question.
The second language
5 times.
The second language
but
also
she
the same.
answered a different
It's
question.
a lot of people actually bad at spelling in the second or third language. They can speak really better.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
My question was, is it possible for a person to be good at writing but bad at speaking? But her answer was to the question, is it possible for a person to be good at speaking but bad at writing?
Yeah, absolutely.
2 completely different questions. She was able to understand the vocabulary and grammar, but not the meaning. And as a result, a breakdown in communication. Last example.
And knowing what you know now in terms of the adoption and the changes that have ensued, is there anything that you would have done differently had you had known that?
I think I expected some, but this is right now, when I attend the lighting show, all of lighting is now LED lighting. At that time, I never expected this huge change, dramatically.
As you could hear, he too answered a completely different question. Let me make something perfectly clear. I am not making fun of him. For those of you who don't know, the gentleman is a Nobel Prize winner in physics. I have a lot of respect for his work. In fact, I would trade my English skills for a quarter of his math skills. Furthermore, what I want to show and prove here is that even with average English, people will still listen to you as long as what you say is of any value. And what he has to say is of huge value. The journalist will repeat his question and get his proper answer, and the conversation will continue. Okay, Let me wrap this up. What I want you to take away from this video is that if your listening is good, your speaking will also be good. It's all common sense when you think about it. It's the same with our native language, with children. It all starts with listening. The reason children are able to speak is because they are able to understand what they hear. Their speaking is as good as their listening comprehension.
I said Anakin Skywalker was his dad.
Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker?
Yes.
Why is he trying to kill his son?
He's not trying to kill him.
Why did he chop his arm off then?
Well, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
What does that? What's that got to do with Star Wars?
Well,
they like omelettes.
What I'm trying to say here is that your speaking can only be as good as your listening, or worse, but never better. Let me repeat that. Your speaking can only be as good as your listening, or worse, but never better. Which is yet another proof that language schools should not exist. Businesses like iTalki, Lingoda, Cambly, Berlitz, Duolingo make no sense, but you know that already. Virtually nobody goes to a language school to practice their listening. Most people know that it's a waste of time. 99.9% of all people go to language schools to practice and improve their speaking. But to improve your speaking, first you need to improve your listening. Your speaking can only be as good as your listening, or worse, but never better. And so, what's the point of paying for speaking? If you are able to understand everything you hear, you will be able to speak. Guaranteed. You don't need to pay a language teacher to improve your listening. You already know that. Just listen to content you like and use dictionaries. Language schools should not exist. Everything you need to know about how to improve your listening, reading, writing, and, believe it or not, speaking, you can find in my book, Virtually Native, which is available on Amazon and virtuallynative.com. You have one life. Don't waste it.